Today's case involves a murder in a church by an unknown figure in a SWAT costume. Today's case is going to be about the case of Missy Bevers' murder. Missy Bevers was murdered in 2016. She was 45 years old at the time of her murder. She had been married to a man named Randy Beavers for 17 years, and she also had 3 children. The day was April 18th of 2016. Missy Bevers was a fitness instructor at a church. I believe this was just a side thing that she did. This wasn't her full-time job. Missy Bevers taught a fitness class, a gladiator fitness class at a church. Midlothian Creekside Church of Christ, which was only 20 minutes from her residence. Midlothian, Texas is relatively close to Dallas and Fort Worth, Texas. The class started that day at 5 a.m. The class was typically held outside, but because of the rain predicted that morning, it had to be held inside. Missy Bevers got to the church at 4:18. If you look at the church, it's kind of an open campus. There's not a lot of stuff around it. It doesn't seem like a very big church. It seems like kind of a smaller, middle-sized church. And I feel that's important to point out. And when she got in the church, she was ambushed by a mysterious figure in a SWAT costume. I say SWAT costume, this is in SWAT gear. This figure had a hammer, and it is believed that this figure had a hammer or a stick, and it was believed that the figure assaulted her when she got inside a classroom at the church, and this figure ambushed her and killed her, and she was killed by blunt force trauma. And when her students arrived at the class at 5 a.m., there she was on the floor with blood all over the place, and this person in the SWAT gear could not be found. To what we know, to what the general public knows, generally the only clue, the major clue in this case is the security footage. Most of the people who reviewed the footage believes it's a woman. Her fitness class found her. She was murdered. Blood was all over the place, and the person in the SWAT gear couldn't be found. For most of the people who reviewed the footage, they believe the person in the SWAT figure, the person in the SWAT gear, was a woman. They believe that her gait was more feminine. From what I've seen, I do believe it is a woman. The figure looked more curved than a guy would be. What I found online was the person was suspected to be between 5'2" and 5'7", so that would most likely be a female. They believe that just by looking at the size of the door and the angles, but that's not something that can be certain of. The person got away, and 7 years later, we don't know who this person is. The SWAT gear concealed this person's identity. There was really nothing remarkable that could be found from the footage except just the gait. Some people, it's believed that this SWAT gear was possibly a costume or fake because of how shiny it was, and it's believed it was cheap plastic, so it was more shiny than what you would typically see with real SWAT gear. In these kind of situations, generally the prime suspect is the husband of the murdered wife, Brandon Beavers. But Brandon Beavers' alibi checks out. Brandon was in Mississippi fishing. And some also believe that Brandon's father, Randy Beaver, could also have been a suspect. He did a suspicious thing, bringing a shirt to a dry cleaner with blood on it 4 days after the murder of Missy. And the police found out about it, and they did do forensic investigation, and it was found out it was actually animal blood. And during the time of the murder, Randy was in California traveling. So both of these guys have pretty solid alibis, and from what it appears, they've been cleared by the police. Some of the other things that are important to point out, that nothing was stolen from the church, and the person broke into the church through like a back door. There was glass. There was the door was somehow damaged on the back door, and that's how the suspect broke in. So the suspect broke into the church. They didn't have access to the church. It's also interesting that Missy had a gun in the car with her. I assume this was her personal gun that she used for protection, but she did not feel the need to carry it with her that day. This being Texas is probably the biggest state for guns in the entire country. It's just a very interesting and intriguing piece that Missy did have a weapon and she did not carry it with her on that day. She did also post a Facebook post the night before talking about the early morning workout session. So it's possible someone could have possibly seen that through Facebook. There was somebody who was driving suspiciously around a gun store near the church around 2 a.m. and some people believe that these two, the sightings of the suspicious car and the figure in the security footage who murdered Missy, are connected, but at this point it is believed it's just speculation. This case today has a reward of $150,000, and it doesn't appear there's any prime suspects here. It's generally believed that someone who did this knows Missy. They had to know that the class was going to be held indoors instead of outdoors. 5 a.m. fitness classes seems to be very unusual, especially at a church, so it's most likely believed that this person who did this knew Missy somehow. But at this point, all we really have is just theories. You're significantly more likely to be murdered by someone you know than a complete stranger. I've seen studies you're at least 3 times more likely to be murdered by someone you actually know, or a family by someone you actually know, rather than just a stranger. Stranger homicides are pretty rare. So again, it's believed that someone in Missy's circle murdered her. And with the gear they were wearing, we can't be certain if it was a guy or a girl, but most people lean towards a girl. So check out the security footage and let me know with your possible theories on this case and what you think happened to Missy, and who would possibly target someone like Missy Bevers, a mother of 3 children who taught fitness classes at her local church. Leave your theories and comments in the comment section below, and thanks for watching. And subscribe to CrimeDuff for more true crime content.